Hey, this is JT. Welcome to Bodyweight Strength. In today's video, we're going to give you an introduction to overhead pressing using only your body weight. So what this is going to be is the preliminary video to get you into handstand push-ups. We have a handstand skill progression tree, which is going to have wrist strengthening, forearm strengthening, and those two things are critical because a lot of adults don't have the mobility in the wrists to comfortably handstand or overhead press in the first place. So if you try this and you find that your wrists are hurting at all, the back of the hands are hurting at all, then you're going to want to go into that video and you're going to want to work on wrist mobility and strengthening the hands and the forearms. With that being said, I'm going to get right into demonstrating this movement or these two movements, and then from there I'll come back and I'll give you the details and things you want to be mindful of. And I'm going to start doing the videos this way so that if you rewatch them, you can get to the movement more quickly without having to listen to the breakdown and all of the nuance about the movement. So let's get to it. The easiest way to begin overhead pressing, working overhead pressing into your training program, is to basically press against any wall, fence, as long as it can support your weight. You're going to put your hands just outside shoulder width. And what you're going to do is move the feet back further to increase the intensity and make it more difficult, or walk your feet up a little closer to reduce the intensity and make it easier. But keeping in mind that you've got to lean into the fence and put pressure on those shoulders to make it an overhead press. So if you're just standing, it's obviously a push-up, right? You're pressing this way and you're not rotating the force to the anterior deltoids, making it that shoulder press. So make sure that you are leaning into the fence, and what you're going to do is bend at the elbows, bring the elbows down and out slightly, like this, okay? As soon as your forehead kisses the wall, you're going to press out gently, and when you get to the top, what you're going to do is push to protract or elevate the scapula. It's a bit of a mixed movement here because protraction would be straight out like in a push-up, and elevation would be straight up if you were in a full overhead press. But we want to work through a full range of motion, so make sure that you are slow down, slow up through full range of motion. Okay, slow eccentric, slow concentric, press out, full range of motion. And that's going to be the most basic overhead press. And that looks simple, but when you slow stuff down and you are moving deliberately and maintaining that tension throughout the muscle, even that's not super easy. So after that, I'm going to take you to the next step in this mini progression, which is going to be a feet elevated pike push-up. And what I'm going to do with the chair is, the pike press is basically a pike position, so you bend at the waist with legs straight, similar to downward dog, and that is going to allow you to press in an overhead manner. The problem is a lot of adults have tight hamstrings, and that becomes really difficult to get into that position, and they simply can't do it. So a little hack that you can do is to put your feet on a chair, and you can keep the legs straight if your hamstrings allow it. If you need to bend at the knee a little bit, that's fine too. So feet on the chair, walk yourself back up to get yourself as straight as possible over your shoulders, over your wrists, and then press down, bring the elbows back, nice and slow, press up, nice and slow. At the top, squeeze for scapular elevation. Again, down nice and slow, up nice and slow, squeeze for scapular elevation. And what I'm going to do is flip the chair, and I'm going to show you this with the shirt off to really accentuate the scapular elevation, because it's super important. That is the full range of motion. That's what's going to allow you to build the most strength and musculature of the traps and up through the shoulders. And if you're not getting that last little bit of scapular elevation, you're not realizing the full benefit of the exercise. So what you're going to want to do, should the chair is stable, get back into your position, and you're going to press down, eccentric, or lower yourself to the eccentric portion of the exercise. Press hard through the floor with the palms, and don't stop here, okay? Press for that scapular elevation. So slow through the eccentric, press hard through the floor, full scapular elevation. Most people would stop here, but it's that last little bit. It's that last little bit, that scapular elevation. Pressing hard through the palms, down through the floor, and hopefully that angle, you know, looking directly on, allowed you to see that last little inch or inch and a half or whatever it is of scapular elevation. It's really going to help you build strength and help you realize the maximum benefit from this movement. All right, so you've got your presses down against the wall, you move to the chair, you've got your elevated foot pike presses down, so now you're ready for handstand push-ups, right? Not yet. The transition from a elevated pike press to a full handstand push-up with feet against the wall is a pretty big jump. So what I suggest is that you get the pike press down with elevated feet. Once you're proficient at that, move to an isometric handstand hold against the wall, and do that until you've got a solid 30-second handstand with scapular elevation. And it may take you multiple sets. So maybe you only get 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and you've got to come down and go back up. But get 30 seconds in multiple sets if you need to, and then work until you've got 30 seconds in one set of that handstand held against the wall, isometric handstand against the wall. Once you've got a 30-second isometric handstand against the wall, which does build strength, which does stimulate hypertrophy, so don't worry that you're not pressing yet. Once you've got that for 30 seconds in one go, from there, then we will get into handstand push-ups against the wall, and eventually we'll get into freestanding handstand push-ups with no wall, which looks like magic. So that'll be super cool, and we'll get to it eventually, but have fun with these.